Imagine a little girl tugging on her father's sleeve, tears streaming down her cheeks, her voice trembling as she whispers, "Daddy, she's all alone. Please, we can't leave her here." What would you do? Would you turn away, telling yourself it's not your responsibility? Or would you take a chance on a stranger's child whose eyes silently scream for help? This is a story about compassion, about a daughter who saw what adults often miss, and a father who discovered that sometimes the smallest voices lead us to the greatest choices. The night was heavy with rain, its sound drumming against car roofs and shop windows. The world seemed gray, everyone rushing home to escape the storm. Daniel, a single father in his early 40s, held his daughter Emily's hand as they hurried across the street. Emily was just 9, bright, tender-hearted, with a way of seeing life that always pierced through the ordinary. They ducked into a small bakery to warm themselves, and that's when Emily saw her. A little girl no older than 7 sat curled up in the corner, her thin sweater soaked through. Her hair clung to her cheeks and her small hands trembled as she clutched a torn backpack. She wasn't buying anything, just sitting, staring at the ground as if she wanted to disappear. Emily tugged at her father's arm. "Daddy," she whispered urgently, "look, she's all alone." Daniel glanced over but looked away quickly. He had seen children like that before, runaways, kids abandoned by parents, victims of circumstances he couldn't fix. He thought, it's not our business, someone else will handle it. But Emily wouldn't let it go, her eyes filled with tears as she looked up at him. "Please, Daddy, she's crying inside, can't you see, we can't just leave her." Daniel sighed, torn between reason and his daughter's plea. Finally, he crouched beside Emily, brushing her damp hair from her face. "Sweetheart, sometimes we can't fix everything, it's complicated." Emily shook her head fiercely, tears spilling down. "But you always tell me to be kind, and if we walk away, what kind of people are we?" Her words pierced him deeper than he expected. He turned to look again at the little girl in the corner. She was staring now directly at Emily, not him, and in her gaze was something raw and haunting, desperation mixed with a flicker of hope. He walked over slowly, Emily following. "Hey there," Daniel said softly, "what's your name?" The girl hesitated before whispering, "Lily." "Where's your family, Lily?" She shook her head, lips quivering. "No family." The words hit like a blow. Daniel swallowed hard, glancing at Emily, who had already crouched down beside Lily, wrapping her small arms around the shivering child. "Don't worry," Emily said through tears. "You're not alone anymore." And just like that, Daniel knew, whatever happened next, he couldn't walk away. That night changed everything. Daniel drove home with Emily and Lily in the backseat, Emily clutching Lily's hand tightly, refusing to let go. The car was silent except for the storm outside and the faint sound of Lily's sniffles. At home, Daniel gave Lily a towel and one of Emily's spare pajamas. She stood awkwardly in the living room as though afraid she would be told to leave any second, but Emily guided her gently to the couch, wrapping a blanket around her. "This is your home too now," she said simply. Daniel watched, overwhelmed. He hadn't planned this. He was barely holding things together for himself and Emily. Raising a child alone after losing his wife had already tested every part of him, but now here was another little girl, fragile and lost. The days that followed weren't easy. Lily barely spoke, waking up at night screaming from nightmares. She flinched whenever someone raised their voice even slightly. Emily would rush to her side, holding her hand until she calmed down. At first, Daniel doubted himself. Was he capable of this? Could he protect her, provide for her, give her the security she had never known? Some nights he sat alone in the kitchen, staring at bills, wondering if he had made a mistake. But then he would remember the way Emily had looked at him in that bakery, the way she begged him not to turn away. And every morning when Lily slowly grew a little braver, smiling shyly when Emily made her laugh or whispering "thank you" after a warm meal, he realized this wasn't a mistake at all. One evening, weeks later, as the three of them sat together reading bedtime stories, Lily suddenly whispered, "Daddy." Daniel froze. She had never called him that before. She quickly corrected herself, embarrassed. "I mean Daniel." But Emily beamed, hugging her. "It's okay, Lily, he's my daddy and now he's yours too." Daniel's throat tightened. He reached out, pulling both girls into his arms. In that moment he understood what Emily had seen that rainy night, something he had been too cautious, too guarded to notice. Sometimes love doesn't wait for perfect timing. Sometimes it finds you in broken places, asking only if you're brave enough to say yes. From then on, they weren't just father and daughter anymore. They were a family of three, proof that compassion can rewrite a life and that one small act of kindness can echo forever. So the next time you see someone who seems forgotten, remember Emily's words, "If we walk away, what kind of people are we?" Because sometimes the greatest difference in this world comes not from governments or grand gestures, but from the moment one heart chooses not to look away.